running without reason, ready to explode. I'm like a freight locomotive, steaming out of control. I make you a martyr, one step in line. I'm a glutton for punishment. Yeah, it makes me feel alive. It makes me feel alive. It makes me feel alive.
love to say Snody Heemsker. Snody Heemsker.
There's a lot of names I love to say, and I'll say them like randomly for no reason.
I know.
I thought I was the only one.
I love names. There's the man. There's the Hawkmeister. That's what we was waiting for.
Yeah, I'm here.
You're here. You're here.
Here.
You're here. Lily's here. Everybody's here. I know what it is with everybody having to be here. So, what are we doing here? Okay. All right, you guys are about ready to do some
podcasting.
presentation, little podcasting and all that.
But of course.
Okay, check. I'm just trying to figure out what album My Woman from Tokyo is on. And I looked at Fireball, and I looked at In Rock, and I know that it's not on...
Google the song.
I know that it's not on Machine Head.
It's definitely not on that. It's not on Perfect Strangers.
No, this is a 70s song. It's an old song.
Yeah, I know the song. Goddamn, who do you think you're talking to here?
It's from Who Do We Think We Are? That's a little bit of a... That's fun to say.
Which is the album after
After
Machine.
this, yeah.
Machine Head. La Machine Head. This... I watched the Deep Purple... there's several documentaries. I watched a Richie Blackmore documentary. And... Dude... I'll just say this right now before we start the podcast. Richie Blackmore left Deep Purple because he didn't, check this out, this was the exact quote, he didn't like Glenn Hughes's shoe shine music.
Wow.
I almost wore my go home and get your shine box shirt for this.
Well, he didn't, I don't know if you read up on this album, he didn't like a lot of the songs and wouldn't play them live.
He's such a baby.
I know, kids.
But, okay. So check your microphone, Lilith.
Check it.
All right, very good.
2.
Lily, lean into it when you're talking, girl.
Yes.
We can all hear you. And we got the Hawkster in the house. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything just rocking and rolling. I think I got everything set up. So let's just do it. We've been just chillaxing here, getting ready to get set up. So we got it. Okay. And there is my crap, and I just need my music. And let's go ahead and do this thing right here. Here we go. On this week's show, we explore one of the most iconic and influential albums of... Let me do that again. Let's undo that. Edit, undo, record media, and take that bitch again. Go tongue-tied. I haven't had enough bourbon yet. On this week's show, we explore one of the most iconic and influential albums of all time. You're going to learn the background as well as understand the magnitude of its reach. So get space trucking down the road like a real highway star on your way to your smoke on the water. That doesn't really work. Okay. Anyways, it's going to be Deep Purple's Machine Head. Stick around. You're listening to the Ludini Rock and Roll Circus, changing rock history one podcast at a time. All right, everybody. It is once again, just like bad breath, we're back at you. The Ludini Rock and Roll Circus. Turning the hits while you spray your pits first thing in the morning.
And there it is.
We need that morning drive time on some rock station. But, yeah, it's the Ludini Rock and Roll Circus, LouLombardiRocks.com if you want to get more information and you want to hang out with cool people that love great guitar-driven rock from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and even today. LouLombardiRocks.com. We are talking about Deep Purple's Machine Head tonight with my wonderful and amazing co-hosts and hostesses.
You can say host. It's fine.
Lily V6.
What's up?
And in this corner, wearing the Ramones shirt, weighing in at 93 pounds.
Oh, you got jokes. Cute, though. Cute.
The heavyweight champion of the world, Lily V6. And in this corner, with a brain the size of Mars, filled with all sorts of rock and music, trivia, history, and understanding, Keith the Hawk Hawkins.
Yes, thank you very much, and thank you. I would be the true heavyweight champion, but that's that's another thing.
And are you ready to rumble? Right? Wasn't that what the guy
that's how
said?
that went.
That's how that went. Anyway,
I
so
heard somewhere that guy made $1 million every time he said that. You believe it?
wow.
I wish I was that guy.
Yeah, I need that job. Let's get that job next.
That's all you got to do.
So we want to shout out to Rock Rage Radio, of course. Go to rockrageradio.com. Download the app. You hear great music constantly. It's totally free. Yes, you can have Sirius XM, but Rock Rage Radio is free, and it's way cooler, and there's a lot of great personalities there, and it's a great community of folks as well to get involved with that. Shout out to our sponsor, Wolf's Customs, wolfscustoms.online. No sense in, I say this all the time, guys, no sense going out with the same old instrument. Get a what's like a holoflash done on your guitar. Chris does a bunch of different customizations with finishes and everything. He's a great guy. I've had him on the show a few times now. We'll have him on again, I'm sure. But yeah, you want to go to wolfscustoms.online, talk to Chris Thunderwolf Dotson, tell him that Ludini sent you. We are getting into some serious stuff tonight. We're going to be talking about Deep Purple's Machine Head, and just an album with an amazing legacy. There's a band called Machine Head.
Yes. I know that.
And Bush, the band Bush, had
Has
a
a
song
song,
called
Machine
Machine Head. So like this is a wildly influential thing. Just with those couple of things right there. So many artists, bands have been influenced by Deep Purple and by this album. Smoke on the Water.
Exactly.
That's, need I say anything else?
There are tons of bands that like to cover all of the songs on this album.
Yes, of course. But of course, Lily, but of course. But anyways, we are going to get into all of that here in a second. The first thing we're going to do there is what we usually do is I like to start off each show with some music. And we try to feature some indie rock stuff that you're just not going to hear anywhere else. And Lily, help me out with the name. You corrected my pronunciation of these guys last time.
Oh, Samarkind.
Samarkind. Okay, check out. We got Samarkind. We're going to come back with some Deep Purple on the Ludini Rock and Roll Circus. Stick around. maybe have. Don't worry, I'll use it. That's Samarkind on the Ludini Rock and Roll Circus. Let me give the website so you can go check.
They are
Samarkind.
from the UK.
The UK, the UK.
You better sue them, man.
Samarkind.com. WeBuyAnyCars.com. What is it called?
We buy. No, I'm not singing it.
WeBuyAnyWhores.com.
It'll be stuck in my head for a million years if I sing that.
We buy any whores.
That band sounded like the Strange Love.
I mean, similarities.
Little bit. We were all thinking of Lou. You were sitting there cringing the entire time like they'd ripped my jam off.
Nah, it's a cool band, Samarkind. Check them out, Samarkind.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna like Strange, it would come up in the category. If you like Strange Love, Lou Lombardi Strange Love, you also like Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai.
What is it?
Samarkind. Cobra Kai.
Samarkai. Yeah,
that's great. Cobra Kai, like from G.I. Joe, right?
No, like that karate.
Karate Kid.
Okay.
The Dick Karate Kids and
The Dick
in the Karate Kid.
The Dick
Headed
Karate.
by the king of the jackasses himself, John Kreese.
The Karate
Right,
Dicks.
right.
There's a band name. Why didn't we think about that? The Karate
Why
Dicks.
can't you change it now?
Well, we have a name now.
Uh-oh.
I'll tell you guys. I'll tell you. You'll have to wait till the end of the podcast. Remind me to tell you the name of the band, the name of our band.
Oh, I'm
at the end
totally
of the
going to forget,
podcast.
but go ahead.
So, Keith, you cool if we get into it with maybe a little background and history, or do you want to start?
The Louis V6 to your right is always our go-to historian with that. So I think that's kind of what we've been doing. So
All right, let's Lily give us.
You know what they say: if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's right. If it ain't fixed, don't break it.
Wow. All right. All right. So Machine Head, the sixth studio album by Deep Purple, released in March of '72. I wasn't born yet. So a lot of things we talked about, I wasn't born yet.
Me neither, actually, which makes me feel pretty good.
I was 5.
It's cited as one of the earliest major influences on the heavy metal genre, and it is the band's most commercially successful album. It was number 1 within 7 days of its release in the UK and stayed in the top 40 for 20 weeks, reached number 7 in the US, and stayed in the top 200 for 118 weeks, giving it a 2 times platinum by the RIAA in the US with over 2 million copies sold. It was recorded December 71 at Montreux, well, sort of Montreux Casino in Switzerland, but
They ended up at the Grand Hotel.
right, but everything was put on hold due to Gillan actually contracting hepatitis first, and then we're going to talk about the other story later. That's kind of a major thing. Then, of course, once arrived at the casino, we all know the famous story, blah, 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 like I just said. Ozzy Osbourne actually rated this album as one of his top 10 favorite albums of all time. Kerrang listed the album as number 35 on the greatest heavy metal albums of all time, and it is the subject of one of the classic album series of documentaries about the making of famous albums. Songs from the albums have been covered by people like Yngwie, Carlos Santana, Pat Boone, Metallica, Iron Maiden, plus a whole lot more, and I have that in each track listing.
And
so.
yes, including my band, did a funk version of Smoke on the Water.
Yes.
So maybe we'll give you guys a taste of that.
That could be fun.
On the outro or
That
something.
could be fun.
Please do. We're dying of thirst for
Yeah,
that.
I'm going to give you a thirst. So,
Some smoke and some water.
So, Hawk.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, yes, sir. What?
Whoa.
Hi.
I know that we've had many drunken conversations over the years about great drummers. And I know that we've talked about Ian Pace. But let's get it, because a band with a bad drummer is a bad band, but Ian is not a bad drummer. Ian's a badass. So why don't we start there? Let's build this from the ground up.
Ian Pace, I mean, been in that band since day one. Is he the founding member? No one's ever put their ass in that seat other than Ian Pace, not that I know of. That guy has been in that band since day one. He is like what you think about.
Uh-oh.
Keith.
one, holding down that rock solid groove. He has those great hands, that swing to his playing. He's almost like this rock meets jazz drummer at times. He has like I said, he has nice swing to his playing, incredible hands. He just grooves his ass off. He's very tasteful when he plays fills. As you know, there's a lot of songs on this record that Ian is all over the map, man. He just, he puts his mark on this definitely iconic record. And what else can you say about the guy? One of the greatest rock drummers of all time. That's where it's at.
This is also the we should also mention that this is the Deep Purple Mark II. There's 3 Deep Purples. Mark 1 was the Richie Blackmore and John Lord have been like the kind of it's the sort of leadership of the band started more with John Lord and then ended up more with Richie Blackmore as time went on. But this is Mark II, which is considered by most people the most classic lineup.
The one that everyone
Although Mark III, they had like Burn is a great song, and a lot of people forget that David Coverdale was in this band.
I forget that
in
every time.
In Mark III, and he's the guy that sings Burn.
Yeah.
Him and Glenn Hughes actually sing a kind of a duet on Burn, and it's so there's a lot of talent that has come that has come through this. But we mostly remember the Mark II because the Mark II is the band that reunited and did. I think you mentioned
Perfect
Strangers, and
which is a great song. And it's a good album. It's like, it's not what I would call their best stuff, but when they come together again and just, definitely bring it back hard because there's some really good songs on that record too. But we were talking about supergroups last week. I mean, just that, what are you calling this, Mark II?
Yeah.
Mark II alone is a pretty damn, I know it's not considered technically a super, but that's a heavyweight lineup of players, man.
Absolutely, and that's when this was an era too when having great players was really important, and audiences went to hear great players. They wanted to hear an amazing drummer, an amazing guitar player, an amazing singer, etc. There was just something that was really, really important to audiences at the time. It was a little bit different, a lot different than the way it is today. People wanted to hear you jam. But yeah, so there's been different things, and the thing that Deep Purple was really kind of doing before this lineup and before they solidified themselves as what they were going to be was a little bit more progressive, and they had done the albums leading up to this were like they did a live record with a symphony. And so there was stuff that John Lord was a little bit more involved in. You guys might remember the song Hush, which was kind of their first single. That was Mark I. That is not Ian Gillan singing. That is not Roger Glover on bass guitar. It's the previous lineup. And again, that song is a little bit more keyboard oriented. Again, John Lord was kind of like pushing the thing. But when after they had done that orchestral thing, they said, let's be a rock and roll band. And so then you get In Rock and Fireball and Machine Head and Who Do We Think We Are and albums like that. So Machine Head, though, is sandwiched in it, and that is really the kind of crowning achievement of this lineup. What is it? 5 of the songs on the album are rock classics.
At least.
The other 3, out of the other 3 songs, one of them should, in my opinion, should be a classic. The other 2 are not necessarily my favorites, but I think that there are 6, and side 2 of this. Oh, by the way, this is when there was albums, guys.
Vinyl.
Side 2 is only 3 songs. Yeah, is only 3 songs, and they're all classics.
I agree.
So, this is like one of those really important records in rock history. Also, we should just mention it that even people that don't hardly even know how to play guitar will pick up a guitar and play what?
Smoke
on the frickin' water. They usually play it wrong. They usually play it badly, but they play it. It's like the first
But you
thing.
know what it is.
Yes, you know what it is, and it's like the first thing that every guitar teacher will, hey, can you teach me how to play Smoke on the Water? Sure. So let's get into. Do you want to go track by track? How do we want to do this, guys?
Yeah, we could do track by track.
What do you want to do, Keith? What's your plan, bro?
That's just let's go with that.
Let's hit it.
It's very systematic.
What amazing song opens this album, Lily?
Highway Star.
Highway Star.
It's the song that has the fastest tempo on the album. It's known for its long guitar solos and organ solos. It was created on a tour bus when a reporter asked them how they wrote their songs. Blackmore grabbed a guitar and started playing G riff over and over again, and Gillan improvised the lyrics. They polished it up, played it that same night. This song is literally probably my favorite Deep Purple song, period. It's also a staple in the live shows, and covered by Gwar's side project X-Cops, covered by Chickenfoot, covered by Stryper, covered by Metal Church, Buck Cherry, Typo Negative, Faith No More, many bands, but those are the biggest ones I wrote down. So, yeah. I like the idea of them just writing it. Oh, this is a song now. Let's just play it tonight.
There is some really sneaky keyboard work in there by John Lord. There's like a whole classical, like Bach kind of thing that happens in there with the keyboards. There's this giant solo section where they kind of sneak in this classical thing. Also, what amazed me when I first heard this song was I was completely blown away. And this is how I knew instantly that Richie Blackmore is an absolute god. In fact, I started a new hashtag today, guys. Hashtag Blackmore Matters. He does.
Hashtag Balls Deep Purple.
So
that's good, man.
But that picking on that solo is at first you go, okay, this is a keyboard. No, that's not. That's guitar. Because it is so insanely precise. He gives each note, he's playing wildly fast, and he gives each note total exact weight. It's totally perfect. That is very difficult to do. First of all, period. It's difficult to do. Secondly, the tone that he uses, it's unforgiving. If you don't play everything exactly right, you're going to sound really, really, really sloppy. Jimmy Page is kind of known for this. Uses similar kind of sound, and you hear some notes quite not coming out and things like that. That you never hear that with Richie Blackmore. Every note is like, it's insane. It almost sounds like a keyboard. It's so clean. And so guys, go back if you haven't heard Highway Star in a while, the original. Go back and just listen to the absolute shredding. And I kind of credit this song and Space Truckin' as songs that like kind of started shred, in my opinion. So, what do you think, Keith? You Highway Star?
Yeah, man, it's a classic rock staple. I mean, you can turn on, whatever classic rock station you're listening to nowadays, and you're going to hear something off his record. And then a lot of times you do hear Highway Star. I mean,
I love
Space Truckin' gets a spin here. I hear that one, and then Smoke on the Water obviously gets a lot of things too. That's one of the most iconic guitar riffs, for better or worse, of all time. But when it comes down to it, Highway Star, I really think that pound for pound, this is up there. I'm glad it starts off the record. I mean, it really takes you by the short hairs, if you will, and it just takes you on a journey that's going to go several different places. But it's got everything in that song. It's got the shred. Talking about the organ playing. John Lord, as soon as he hits freaking two notes, you know exactly who that is. Just his sound alone is iconic. Blackmore, what else can you say about that guy? Ian Pace has great fills in this song. It's the fills that are just what you would think are simple sticking, but it's the tempo he plays them at that is going to give you like a run for your money. But it's definitely, and Mr. Gillan coming in with that high vocals.
Yeah,
man.
Amazing. Yeah, it's really vicious too. I mean, it really kind of grabs you by the throat and says, "Okay, you're going to have to listen to this."
Yeah, you're in for something. That's the first freaking song on the record. You're in for a treat.
Absolutely. So what's next, Lil?
Next the next track is Maybe I'm a Leo, written after Roger Glover heard John Lennon's How Do You Sleep. He liked that the riff didn't start on a downbeat. Excuse me. Ian Gillan at the time it was written was the only one in the group who was a Leo, and the song is very rarely played live. It's been covered by the Atomic Bitchwax, Government Mule, Paul Gilbert, and Van Halen during their early concerts, which I didn't know, and that's kind of interesting.
Wow. This song, to me, and this, not the next song, but the song after we're going to talk about, I believe are really influenced by the Beatles. And this, if you listen to it, John Lord's keyboard line is very similar to, you could sing, "Here come old flat top,
Yeah.
He come grooving up slowly."
Yeah.
You could sing that over the first part of, you can sing "Come Together" over the first part of Maybe I'm a Leo. It's not really one that a lot of people know. It would be considered a deep cut off of this album, but a pretty cool song nonetheless. I mean, there's no real filler on this record. There's some other ones that we like better, I think, than others.
Right. Well,
that's how we're going to put that. But are you familiar with this track at all, Keith?
This is the sleeper track on the album. This shit grooves from the friggin' upbeat start. It doesn't start on the downbeat. It's not your typical 1, 2, 3, 4, let's go. It starts on the upbeat and it goes from there. It has some cool syncopations in the song. It's psychedelic. It's trippy. It's heavy. It's funky. I mean, it's got a lot of things. It's got a lot of ease in it. So we're gonna just say this one here is maybe not the well-known hit off the record, but this to me is the sleeper track on the album, and this is a very good song that I think defines a lot of their other songs they wrote later on. It's got a vibe to it. It's got the Deep Purple thing that defines their sounds.
What do we got next?
Pictures of Home is next. It was inspired by shortwave. This is according to Blackmore, a shortwave radio channel from Bulgaria or Turkey when writing the main riff. The lyrics were a result of studio paranoia and homesickness by Gillan. It is the only song on the album that was not performed live during the 72 tour because Blackmore refused to play it live. When Steve Morse took over in 94, he started playing the song during the live shows, and it's been the opening song throughout the Rapture of the Deep tour. That was in 2005. There was a Pictures of Home documentary created in 2010 about Ian Gillan that I would like to see. I haven't gotten around to that yet, but it has been covered by Malmsteen and Black Label Society, which I would like to hear the BLS version when I get home.
Yeah, that's interesting. This is a cool track. It's a good rock and roll song. You mentioned Steve Morse. Mm-hmm. And you also mentioned Yngwie. Mm-hmm. A little sidebar here is Yngwie took great offense to the fact that they hired Steve Morse instead of him. Yes, he wanted that gig really bad. Richie Blackmore is his hero, along with Uli Roth. And he's like, he couldn't believe that they hired Steve Morse. Here's why they hired Steve Morse. Steve Morse has the same kind of picking as Richie Blackmore. He just can.
So it was more mimic.
Yes, he can sound. I mean, he has that. There's certain guys in guitardom that are really known for that amazing, insanely consistent, very hard to do, super clean picking. And Blackmore is one of them. Steve Morse is one. Al Di Meola is another one. I did, as an experiment this week, I listened to Blackmore and I listened to Yngwie because I know Yngwie wanted that gig. And Yngwie is just, he doesn't have the same kind of thing.
I feel like if it was Yngwie, he would just take over and make it his own anyway.
Yeah.
With his type of personality.
I can understand why Steve Morse and I think in terms of his personality too, I think Yngwie's personality may be too close to Richie Blackmore's.
That's very true.
And there's a lot of tension between Blackmore and the rest of the band. Keith.
Yo.
What do you got on? You got anything on Pictures of Home?
I think we're missing the best part of the song, which is the awesome drum intro.
Yes.
I was going to talk about the drums on the next song, but
you're the drum guy.
There's drums all over this freaking album. It's Ian Pace, for God's sake. If you listen to this album came out in 72, this is way before the Aussie Over the Mountain sounds kind of like this vibe, or the John Bonham thing with the big triplets. I mean, Ian Pace was doing that shit way before a lot of these people were doing it. Bonham was around the same time. And drummers of the day, the Ginger Bakers and Mitch Mitchells, but Ian Pace is right there doing the very cool big triplet, big tom sound, big rock and roll intro, and it's great, man. And he just settles it down after that, does cool fills throughout the song, but the intro, I think, starts it off, and it's got a lot of attitude.
he has also, just should mention for just as a curiosity, is that he is a left-handed. He sets the He sets the kit up left-handed.
Oh,
he is a lefty. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a true lefty, where he plays everything what you could figure would be for a right-hand player backwards. He's not playing a right-handed kit as a left-handed open posture playing. He's actually left-handed, so everything for him would be on the opposite side of where it would be for me or any what we'll say right-handed normal player. But there's lefties like Rod Morgenstein or anybody like that are actually true lefties. They have to switch things around a little bit.
So the next track is Never Before.
Yup. This one is another one that's rarely been played live. Actually, the only live recording of this song appears on Deep Purple in Concert, which was recorded at the time of the single release, a week before the album release. The guitar riff has a resemblance to Peter Frampton's Do You Feel Like We Do? And I listened to it again, and yes, it is similar. Vanadium is the Italian metal band that covered them. I couldn't find anyone else that really covered that song.
This is one of my favorite songs on the album. It has a great drum intro by Ian Pace as well, and I love the melodicism of it. It's very Beatle-esque. The guitar riff, it's actually played the Glover and Blackmore, and I think Lord all sort of play the riff together at the end of each chorus is the Day Tripper riff minus like 2 notes. It sounds like if they had the last 2 notes, it would be the Day Tripper riff. And then the bridge on the song sounds like something from the Sun King medley from Abbey Road. I just think it isn't like. I think it's also the most pop song on the album. It's got pop written all over it. And famously, Gillan thought that this was going to be the single, and I can understand why, because it has that pop kind of thing to it. It's very radio friendly kind of song. You know the song at all, Keith? Sure.
Yeah, I mean I know all these tunes, man. This one to me, I have a little bit of an opposite opinion on. I think it's really good. I know it's not like it's just one of the radio hits of the album. I was thinking something completely different. The drum intro is great, but then when he goes into Ian Pace goes into the groove of the song, for at least the first part of the song, it's almost like a nod to like R&B drummers. It's very funky, kind of like 16th note kind of groove. Mm-hmm. He doesn't like do his typical sort of. He lays real big into the straight ahead rock thing, the 8th note thing. But this one here, he doubles up the time a little bit and plays 16th notes, which is you get that once in a while from him with Smoke on the Water and stuff like that. But it's definitely a funky groove and it's a great song. But like I said, it's one of them songs that kind of just unfortunately it didn't do any damage. I think, like I said, I don't really think there's a bad song on this record, to be honest with you.
We're going to come back and talk about more. Actually, we went farther than I would plan to because we were just so into it. And everybody's got a good rapport tonight, man. Everybody's on it. So these two guys, this Lily and this Keith, man, they really make the show. So I'm really grateful for those guys here. We played these guys a few weeks ago and got a great reception. This is Bad Actress. We're going to come back and talk about a little bit more Machine Head on the Ludini Rock and Roll Circus. Bad Actress, High Speed Heartbreak on the Ludini Rock and Roll Circus. So, like, don't worry about Motley Crue touring. Go see these guys because they're like, if they've got the same kind of, like, bad boy kind of vibe, you know, and they're like, they could probably, their singer probably can actually sing live.
Yeah, probably.
Is that that's a neat trick when that happens. Huh?
These days.
And you want to go to the only problem with these guys is they need a .com. Right now they're using stupid Facebook, so you can find them at Facebook / Bad Actress Band. Yeah, guys, don't quit doing that because I don't know if you realize this. Facebook loads really, really slow on those like Facebook pages. And
we don't like that.
It's terrible. It takes forever for all your stuff to pop up. Just get a dude. A website is cheap. Just go get a freaking website. You can find somebody in Fiverr, make it for you cheap. If you have a problem, let me know. I can hook you up. Ludini Rock and Roll Circus. Please go to LouLombardiRocks.com. That's where all the cool folks hang out who love great guitar-driven rock, like bands like Samarkind. Did I say it right? Like Samarkind and Bad Actress. And we're going to play a little Suwaka later on. So, yeah, check that out. A shout-out to Chris Thunderwolf Dodson at wolfscustoms.online. And Rock Race Radio. Love you guys. Thanks, John and Gigi, for putting up with all my shenanigans. Okay, so we're talking about...
one thing. Whoever took Thunderwolf's license plate, he's pissed. Bring his freaking license. Bring his license plate back. It's bullshit. Thank you.
Yeah, that's not cool. Chris is a good
stop
dude.
yourself.
Come on.
Stop being a jerk.
Come on. But you live in that Michigan state, so there's all kind of problems there.
Riff-raff.
Yeah. We are on side 2 now. So we just did side 1 of Machine Head. What opens side 2, Lily?
Smoke on the Water.
Oh, my God.
This one tells the story about when they were at the Montreux Hotel in Switzerland to record the album using a mobile recording studio rented from the Rolling Stones. And on the evening of the recording session, there was a Frank Zappa concert. And we talked about this before on the show at the casino. This was actually supposed to be the last show before the theater shut down for winter renovations. I guess the fire took care of that. A fan shot a flare gun toward the ceiling, destroying the entire casino complex, spreading fire over Lake Geneva, hence creating the song entitled...
Frank Zappa was injured.
Frank Zappa was injured. Nobody else was injured or seriously hurt, though. It was just mostly the...
and the owner, Claude.
Yeah. They didn't expect this song to actually be a hit. In fact, the single wasn't even released until a year later, but it became the centerpiece of their live shows. I do have a fun fact about this song, though, and I really found this interesting. In 1994, in British Columbia, 1,322 guitarists gathered to play the world-famous riff all at the same time for a place in the Guinness Book of World Records, but that was beaten in June 2007 in Kansas City by 1,700 guitarists. 20 days later, that was beaten in Germany by 1,800 guitarists. And finally, in Poland in 2009, that was beaten by 6,300 guitarists. Can you imagine?
all rocking out the smoke on the water.
They were probably all playing it wrong, but that's okay.
It is one of the most misplayed riffs. Even though it's very popular, it is often played wrong, and it's very interesting. And it is played with what I call the Ritchie Blackmore chords. And I'm not going to get into the technical discussion about guitar playing on the show, but he has and he uses a very similar approach. He uses a very similar approach later on with a song called Man on the Silver Mountain. Mm-hmm. It's a very similar, uses a similar, they're both in the same key. So my thought was always like, when he wrote Man on the Silver Mountain, maybe he was thinking, I got to write the next Smoke on the Water.
Right.
Because they have there's very similar, there's cool similarities about it. And I did a podcast on that. You can go back in the archives and find that. It is also, that riff is played along, John Lord plays along with it. That's why it's very difficult to cop that sound. The riff starts out, that is not just a Ritchie playing the chords on the guitar. That is also John playing with the right hand. And then when it comes in the second time around, John comes in with the left hand, and it gets even fatter. And then finally it comes in with the whole band. Roger Glover does that great thing where he just pounds that G note through that riff, and it really sets it apart. Amazing song. It's one of those songs that it's a chestnut, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like old time rock and roll, or one of those,
Everybody knows what
everybody
it is.
It's like rock and roll by Led Zeppelin. It's a chestnut, But when you listen to the whole record and Smoke on the Water comes on, and you hear it as part of this whole piece, this Machine Head, it just fits so perfectly, and it is a great second side opener. It's got the right tempo for that and everything. Keith, what are your you want any comments on Smoke on the Water?
It's crazy what you can do when you have an idea for a song. It's just write a song about some stupid with a flare gun, but it's an iconic song, and probably definitely one of the most popular songs of all time. And just that riff alone, just as people know what that is. They don't even know the freaking word, but they know what the hell that guitar riff is. But it's a good side opener, and like I said, just a iconic rock and roll classic.
It really made me think. It really makes me think too. The more I hear the song, and I've played the song many times, it really makes me think that John Lord and Ritchie Blackmore were kind of influencing each other. There's lots of things about Blackmore's approach to guitar I think is very kind of keyboard-like. It's one of the things that sets him apart, makes him a little bit different than, say, an Eric Clapton or a Jimmy Page or a Jeff Beck. And I think that is him and John working together for so long. They just had a really interesting musical interaction. A little bit more about the lyrics in the song. I just want to kind of go over. One of the things the band had to do is because the casino burned down and they had to go to the hotel to record the abandoned hotel. In order to hear playback, they would cut the song, and then they had to run like down the hall and down the stairs and outside into the trailer where the rolling truck Stones thing was set up, and they would hear the playback. Then they would, if they wanted to do it again or whatever, they had to go back out and do it again.
At least they were getting their steps in.
When you're in your 20s, getting steps in isn't really a thing, and especially if cocaine's involved. So, and the album for the most part is those guys playing live. For the most part, there's some places that Richie went back and did some harmony guitars, and there's some stuff like that. But for the most part, all those songs are those guys in a room jamming together, and that is part of the magic of the feel of that. When you got a drummer, I mean, like in my opinion, when you got a drummer like Ian Pace and a bass player like Roger Glover, I think you'd want to be in the room jamming with those guys. Like, I think it would be because they create such a. Roger Glover is one of those bass players, in my opinion, that doesn't get enough love.
That's true. I mean, he's not overly complicated. He's not fancy, but he lays down a pocket. I think that when it comes to the band members, he probably doesn't get the recognition he deserves. It's tough to be in a band with legendary people, but he definitely steps up. Hey man, Blackmore used him for other projects. So,
yeah, he did. He later on he was in Incarnation of Rainbow. That's a good point.
Exactly.
He's also Roger is also a producer, and he did his own mix of this album in 2016 that he released. That I need to go listen to. I have not listened to it. But also another thing that people don't realize is he's a songwriter and he's a lyricist as well. Something that people don't realize is that Blackmore and Gillan were kind of a package deal. They weren't really going to hire Glover. I said it wrong, not Blackmore. I'm sorry. Glover and Gillan were kind of a package deal. They weren't necessarily going to hire Glover, but Glover just went with Gillan to the audition, and they liked him, and they realized that these two guys have been writing songs together. Like, okay, we're going to gain a songwriting team as well, and so that's how they ended up in the band. But there's something about those guys all playing together. And another testimony about Roger Glover is, if you guys haven't never seen it, I highly recommend it. If either one of you have never seen it, there's a documentary called Low Rising, and it is Government Mule. After Alan Woody died, they, instead of just hiring a bass player, they worked with all their favorite bass players and did this. They made a documentary out of it, and Roger Glover is one of the bass players in it, and his track is insane. It is so grooving, just like Keith said, just really in the pocket. So got to give a little love to Roger Glover. What is next, Lily?
Next is Lazy.
I know, this is a cool song, man. It takes almost 4.5 minutes before the lyrics start, by the way.
Exactly. It was like, I was going to say, it starts out as an instrumental using a Hammond organ intro, followed by the main riff and solo swapping between him and Blackmore.
Solo swapping, not spit swapping.
Solo swapping by Blackmore and Lord. This is the longest track on the album at 7 minutes and 23 seconds, but live versions have been over 10 minutes long. I wish I could have heard a 10-minute long version of that. I've only seen them once, though. So there it is.
It's what do you think of this song, Keith? I think it's really freaking cool.
I actually did make a note of it on my little cheat sheet here that it did take 4 minutes of some change to get to the freaking vocals. That it does have a nice like bluesy shuffle feel. When the lyrics do come in, they're a little, I don't want to say juvenile, they're a little cheesy, but I mean it's you're lazy, you just stay in bed. You don't want no money, you don't want no bread. I mean, it's just that kind of thing. But I can see where you're getting. I can see what you're getting at. But it's definitely like their version of like a nice down home blues shuffle.
Yeah, it's a blues song. Yeah. I mean, those are just kind of like I always kind of took that as a kind of like it's just blues kind of lyrics. Kind of tongue in cheek, kind of humorous. Not meant to be taken too seriously.
Not at all. Thank God for that. Yes.
But yeah, the again, Blackmore's tone on this and his playing, are just insane. There is a very cool remake of this song. Now, other people have remade it, but there's a very cool remake of this song now check this out. This is really interesting. You guys remember Jimmy Barnes? Australian singer.
Yeah, Jimmy Barnes has a great voice. I put him on one of my unique singers of all time. Remember we were doing the most unique voices? He was definitely on my list for most unique voices.
Well, he did it. He put out an album with a bunch of guest players, and he remakes that song he did with NXS with Keith Urban, of all people.
Really?
It's very cool. But they do this with, check this out, with Joe Bonamassa and Brad Whitford.
My boy.
And there's a great video of them doing it in the studio. So if you get a chance, watch it. And Whitford is no slouch, man. Like, Bonamassa's doing his thing. Whitford's like, excuse me, just Joe, sit down for a minute.
No, Whitford killed it. I don't care.
He's like slays, man. He sounds great on it. So if you guys haven't had a chance, check out the Jimmy Barnes version of "Lazy." Oh my God, that voice. Keith's right. He's that guy. His voice
that dude
is
opens
insane.
up his voice, and it's just that gravel, that roughness in his voice, but it's still like very rangy. And I could see him doing something with Keith Urban's another Australian, and then I don't know how Keith Urban got lumped in with the country thing. I guess it's marketable or whatever. He's more of a.
It makes more money.
He's like a rock guy, man.
Yeah, on this he plays very rock. He doesn't really. He doesn't do any.
You listen to his solos and things. He's a pop rocker. I mean, it's just he's got lumped in. I mean, he's laughing all the way to the bank, but it's like it's hard to define him sometimes as a country singer. But it is what it is.
Jimmy's voice. It's a relatively recent thing. It's not new, but relatively recent. He's obviously in his 60s, and he hasn't slowed one bit. So you want to talk about these guys that are older that are really struggling. Jimmy's not one of them. He just, his vocal performance on every song on this thing is over the top, insane, dead nuts on. He's not flat. He's not hoarse. He's just doing his thing. And finally, there's one last song in this record, Lily.
Space Truckin', the closing.
Come on, let's go.
Technically, there's another song, but this is a closing song on the original vinyl release. Blackmore states that these riffs were inspired by the theme music from the Batman TV program. It's featured in WKRP in Cincinnati, Rock Band video game, film Lords of Dogstown, Guitar Hero Van Halen, and it was played in orbit as a wake-up call for the red team of the STS-107.
That's great.
Covered by Dream Theater, Overkill, Ministry, Tesla, William Shatner, and Kip Winger.
You haven't reached fame until William Shatner covers one of your songs.
I'm waiting for you to say it. What are your thoughts on a little?
When Captain Kirk's out there putting that shit down, you've reached the big time. It took the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 500 years to put Deep Purple in there, and then finally they did one day. But when William Shatner's up there rocking your shit, you're legendary.
You made it.
You've
made it. When Shatner covers you, you're that's it. So what do you like
rocking that shit throughout the galaxy? Him and Spock, man.
It's a great riff. It is a really cool. Yeah, it's like that's a bad.
And I hate to keep beating the drum, no pun intended. But there's a build at the end where Ian Pace starts very slowly with just a single stroke roll on the snare drum, and it's by the time he's done, it's so freaking fast that I don't even know the beats per minute on it. It's I can't play it. It's ridiculous.
What I find really interesting about this song is Blackmore's solo. Once again, I come back to Richie Blackmore is one of my heroes. His solo, his tone, it's very soulful playing for a guy who kind of started shred, for the guy who really went on to influence people like Uli Roth and Yngwie Malmsteen and that whole gang later on.
The neoclassical guys.
Yeah, the neoclassical guys. Those guys could learn a little bit by maybe listening to some of Blackmore's more soulful. If you go a little bit down the road and you listen to something like "Knocking on Your Back Door," he plays freaking slide. He's a consummate guitar player. There is a the rumor is the reason that Blackmore is not venerated the way that Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, and Eric Clapton and Jimi Hendrix are is because he's difficult. He's a difficult person. And he's also publicly criticized Jimmy Page because apparently all those sessions that Jimmy Page played on, there was another guitar player, an older guitar player, Big Jim Sullivan. And Richie maintains that Jimmy's reading isn't good and that actually he was just a rhythm guitar player. He was just playing the chords, and it was really Big Jim Sullivan who was playing all the solos on these session dates. And so I don't think that is set well
I guess not.
The other British rockers. And if you think about Jimmy Page, Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck has been known to be a little tempestuous kind of person, but they're all kind of good-natured guys, whereas Richie is the kind of black sheep of the
He's
family.
just an angry man.
He's come out and said it many times. I'm moody.
He's not David Coverdale. I mean,
and I mean, he one of the things he was famous for was he told every singer. He told Gillan, he told Glenn Hughes, he told David Coverdale, told them all, like, I'm going to outdo you on the stage.
And
like,
he's not wrong.
If you're not, if you can't keep up, that's your problem. So just behavior like that, I think, just kind of doesn't set well with certain people, and so he hasn't, I don't believe he's really gotten his due. You said there's a hidden. What were you hitting at?
Well, When a Blind Man Cries was originally only available on the B side of the single Never Before, but it was later on added to the album as the finale.
I forgot about One of Blind. Well, tell me about that.
There's a couple B side tracks that get
right
listed. Yeah, but I don't. Like I said, I went with the original vinyl copy too. I did see that one. There was another one that was like Strange Kind of Woman or something, Strange Woman. It was like there's a few other tracks that were like B-side tracks that were later added on, like some like deluxe versions. But you have with just, what is it, 7 songs? The original copy is, those are the ones that I pretty much went by.
There's
8, right?
Is that 7?
It's 8.
Eight total.
When
with
a Blind
the
Man
song.
Cries would be the 8th song,
Yeah.
which I've never really even listened to.
Well, the reason this one didn't make it to the original album is because Blackmore didn't like this song at all, and it was never played live during his stint with the band, with the exception of one time when he was ill and someone else filled in for him in Canada.
Very good.
When Satriani replaced the band.
Satriani is another guy who's a big Richie Blackmore.
Well,
and so is Steve Vai.
When he replaced him, it became a staple in every performance ever since. When Steve Morse joined, the song became extended to 7 minutes from 3.
I will tell you guys there is a great concert DVD that came out late 90s or very early 2000s with the original lineup. It's insanely well produced with a lot of like interviews with everybody in between, with the exception of Richie Blackmore. He refused to be interviewed. And it is really them. They're kind of like last best as this Mark II lineup. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. And Keith, when was the first time you heard this album?
Man, when I had this when I was a kid, like on cassette. A friend of mine left it at my house and never coming back and got it. And I was like, yes, you know what? It's mine now. And I kind of roll. And I started listening to it. I knew Smoke on the Water, of course, is from being friggin' pounded in my ears the whole time on radio. But then I started listening to it, and the more I got into like and drumming and stuff, I mean, I might have been 10, 11 years old. I started like listening, maybe didn't appreciate it as much. Then I started listening to it some more, and then started liking Deep Purple a lot. It was a bunch of guys that used to hang out with my dad, of all people, who just, used to come around, drink, and they would all into Van Halen, and then they would talk Van Halen up all the time. And this was like in the early 80s, I remember as a kid. Van Halen. Then when Perfect Strangers came out, they were like, yes, Van Halen's going to be dethroned. Deep Purple's back, man. It's the end of the world. They're going to take over rock and roll. That's how much they liked, they turned on their Van Halen boy in 2 seconds, man. That's how much they respected Deep Purple.
When was the first time you heard this record?
My cousin Josie used to babysit me quite often when my mother would go out, and she would always, this is why I like the music that I like, she would always play stuff like this, and she played me this album and Highway Star, and I was like just in love with it. I was probably like 11. I would say I was 11.
This record was loaned to me on vinyl by my second best friend from high school, who's a keyboard player, and he was trying to like educate me. He had been in music a little bit more before I was, and he had an older sister who had bought him records and stuff as a kid.
Okay.
So he had this record, and he said, yeah, no, I think you should listen to this. So I took it home, and I was just like floored. And for a long time on Highway Star and some of the other spots in this record, some of the stuff that I thought I swore had to be keyboards turned out to be Richie Blackmore on guitar, and I was floored and just completely blown away by it, and just completely sold on it. And I couldn't believe that the second side of the album has only 3 songs on it, but like
it's all great.
But all great, like it's just amazing. Played it over and over and over. Absolutely loved it. Felt very bad when I had to give it back to him. I mean, I taped it, but I felt bad when I had to give it back to him. And I just want to say one thing about these special editions. There's special editions to every thing out. All those great albums have special editions. The Who's Next, there's a special. I kind of reject that stuff. These guys picked these 8 songs or whatever for a reason in this order for whatever, and that is a picture of the music and the sound and the state of people's listening at that time, and that is what that was meant to be. I can't stand when Space Truckin' ends, then all of a sudden there's a remix and a outtake.
I
and
don't
I'm
like that.
I don't want to, I was listening to Who's Next. We could do a show on that at some point, about a year ago it's on Spotify. Of course, it's one of my favorite albums. I have it on vinyl. And then like the record ends, and I know how it ends and everything because I played the record a million times. And then some other songs are like, no, that's not. No, it's
this
not.
This is not how it goes.
It's not how it goes. It's wrong. You're doing it wrong. Ooh. So I this is a personal thing with me because I just think like the records at that time you picked those songs.
There was a reason.
Yeah, they were trying to make an entire statement. There was a reason why it went Highway Star, Maybe I'm a Leo, Pictures of Home, Never Before, Smoke on the Water, Lazy, Space Truckin'. Whatever happened in history, however, what songs were famous or what, it doesn't matter. That was a statement that the band was trying to make. So you don't go adding, my opinion, you shouldn't go adding songs. You don't add songs to Sgt. Pepper's. You don't add songs to Dark Side of the Moon. You don't add songs to Zozo. Those are statements. But that was my first experience with this album, and I freaking loved it. Guys, anything else you guys want to add before we get the hell out of here for this week? Any final parting shots, parting comments?
We counting them down or no? We're not doing that.
Oh, yeah, you want to rank them? Go ahead.
He can.
I mean,
You do the ranking, brother. Rank them up.
All right, so I'm not putting on When a Blind Man Cries. I don't know what the hell that is.
No, forget that. Just the main ones we talked about.
Okay, for me, number 7 was Never Before, so I put that one in. I just did it. It's just good song. Like I said, this might be a masterpiece album, pretty damn close. That's one just doesn't resonate as well on me. Number 6 is Lazy. I like the instrumentation, but like I said, the lyrics were a little bit, but I know that's kind of what the vibe was. Where am I on? Number 5, this is shocking. Number 5 is because it's beat up, man. Smoke on the Water is number 5 for me. That's me. Number 4 is Pictures of Home, which I really like the intro. I think it's a great song, but there's some better on the album. Number 3, this was tough for me, and this is probably a lot higher than what most people would think. Maybe I'm a Leo. Like I said, it's a sleeper track on the album.
I could tell you really loved it when you talked about it.
Yeah, it's a really great song. I really dig it.
So we're just stop right there. Pause. So it's down to Highway Star and Space Truckin'. Highway Star is the first song on the album. Space Truckin' is the last song on the album. Okay, before you answer, which one do you think is going to be Keith's number 1, Space Truckin' or Highway Star?
I'm going to go with Highway.
I'm going to go with Highway too. Keith, what's your number 1?
You guys know me too well. Number two. Hold on for a second. Let's just stay in numeric order. Number 2 is Space Truckin'. It is the last song on the record, technically, if you're, think about the original vinyl. Space Truckin' was almost, man. But there's something about a Highway Star. It's the first song on the album. I think it's there for a reason. A lot of people put some of their strongest stuff up top like that and just put it in the first few tunes. That song comes out swinging. It represents everybody in the band. Everybody kills that song. I mean, that lineup is like, that's one song. You said it was written on a tour bus. I mean, that song is just, damn, that's the way they're going to write, just by messing around on a tour bus. And then just it's a great song. And it's never, to me, that song never gets old. Legit. I'd much rather hear that than Smoke on the Water. Sorry.
Like I said, Highway Star is my most favorite Deep Purple song ever.
It's a really great song. I mean, it's an iconic rock classic. I would put it up there and probably for me in a top 20 of all time rock songs. Mm-hmm. It's just a killer song.
I have to agree. That's one of my. That's like I even want to hear people singing at karaoke even when they can't sing. I'm like excited to hear it. So that's how that is.
Yeah. In my research for the show, I discovered a band called Strange Kind of Women. They are a female tribute to Deep Purple. They're all over YouTube. They're a relatively new band. Check them out. They're noteworthy. They're noteworthy. Just I think you might find it.
I'm gonna go ahead and just like them right now.
Yeah, strange kind of women. Check it out. All right, guys. Ludini Rock and Roll Circus. Go to LouLombardiRocks.com, where all the cool people are. RockRageRadio.com. Listen to great rock all the time. And shout out one more time to Chris Thunderwolf Dotson at wolfscustoms.com. Get that custom finish done on your musical instrument of choice. Wolf's Customs.
Bring a license plate back, damn it.
Bring the damn license plate back.
Yeah, stop being a jerk.
All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. This is Suwaka. We started the show with Samarkind. Am I saying it right? Samarkind. Samarkind. Then we played a little Bad Actress. We're walking out of here with Suwaka. You guys have a great week. We'll catch you on the next Ludini Rock and Roll Circus. Let's stick around for a little bit, Keith.
Yeah, man, I'll be back.
All right.
I'll be back.
I'm going to turn off YouTube. And Rock Rage. Okay. Check. Hold a sec, Keith. Let me kill this here.
No, come on.
Come on.
Quit pissing around, man.
Quit pissing around.
You talking to the dog?
You talking to me?
They've already do is fight, man.
Oh, the boys.
They have 5, like 2 toys, and they'll fight over one. There's 5 laying on the ground. Don't you want a fresh one, or you want this old chewed up sloppy
They
one?
both want the same one.
That's the weird part. I don't get that shit. Then I end up stepping on one and impaling my foot, you know.
Oh,
It's like having kids.
the joy of parenthood.
Yeah, that's the thing. I can't put these dudes in timeout. Next thing you know, they shit on a rug, you know.
Shit on the rug.
Yeah.
Eating on the rug, man. Oh, shit, man. So, anyways, the name of the band, I believe, is you ready?
I'm ready.
Smooth Gooch.
I don't hate it.
It was
What
one
that band with who is this? Your band? Jared with Jared?
with Jared and Drew, yeah.
Smooth Gooch?
Smooth Gooch.
I've heard worse, man. Believe it or not.
So we thought it kind of rolls off the tongue. It's easy to say. Could lend itself to cool logo. And it's got some sexual innuendo to it. Which
Are you
we
guys
like.
done now? Is this
I'm
the
pretty
name?
sure. Well, Jared was like, he said, what do you guys think of bag drag? And I didn't like that as well because also I thought like people were gonna like think we were saying Baghdad.
Yeah, and
Like-
maybe that's a bad idea.
Well, I mean, it's just like it's I mean, we're not Middle Eastern. I mean, like I don't know. It just was like
You're not? I had no idea.
so. I just we Drew and I both were like, yeah, that's cool, and I wasn't stoned either when I liked it. I think that's been the problem in the past. I would be wasted.
And
Like,
then
that's a
you're-
cool name, and I got
That's
sober.
great,
I'm like,
that's
no,
great.
that is not a cool name.
Is that Greg
using
kid still in that band? Is it Greg in that band, the bass player?
No. It's me. It's a 3-piece. Jared's playing bass.
Greg was in that band, though, right?
No, that band is still going. What are they called? Midnight Rose. That's a separate band.
Yeah.
That's Jared's
I
band.
would-
That's not my band.
I wouldn't be able to be with a band like that.
Yeah,
That's too funny.
he's a weird dude, man. Like I should.
No, I worked with him for a couple
I gotta
years,
watch, man. I don't know who's watching, who knows him, so I gotta
Yeah.
watch what I say.
Greg, if you're watching, go to sleep.
Go to bed, Billy.
Speaking of, I haven't heard from Billy.
We
in a
have not
minute.
heard from Billy the Altman in a
Man,
long
I'll
time.
tell you what, I haven't heard from him in a while. He said something about the coronavirus is some kind of hoax. I'm like, why don't you go talk to the hundreds of thousands of families that are affected by the deaths of it? And he's like, I will. And then he never spoke to me again. So that is what it is.
He's probably banned off of Facebook again. That's a weekly thing for him now.
So,
Well, it's, Billy screams for attention.
I hope he's okay. I don't want.
He just posted on Sunday, so he's fine.
Did he? What'd he say?
He was at the Wheeling Park pool with his dad and mom.
Huh. He's saying that probably a good portion of his life will probably be including those two in his activities. No offense.
He scared the crap out of me whenever he showed up at Y&T. And he's like, let's get a picture. I'm like, oh, God, I'm going to go to jail or something.
Yeah, he's the Altman. You gotta love the Altman.
Still working on that. Still working on all those hard fills in the Sharp Dressed Man, probably.
Anyways, I'm getting ready to release that Peace in the Valley song, dude. I hired an artist to create artwork for it, and I didn't read on her bio that she's 5 weeks backed up, and I already paid her. So like I'm like that's kind of delayed. I thought I really want to get that out like in the next week or two. Mike Ofka did a good job, and Chris, do you know you remember the band Fist Fight in the Parking Lot?
Yup.
Keith, do you remember them at all?
Vaguely, I think I knew somebody in that band. Or,
Abby was from the X. That's
Abby
her.
Cat.
Yeah, that's her band.
that's right. Is that a blonde girl?
Yeah.
Blonde.
But Chris Ruane, he works for pianos and stuff. He's a drummer in that band, and he mixed Sun Kissed Nerd Girl. And he did a great job on that, man. It's a little different, and he made it. He kind of gave it kind of real kind of like alternative kind of vibe. It's very, very cool.
Right.
And so those two are like ready to fucking go. And then me and Jared and Drew, we've been writing our own shit, and it's real different, man. I'm really excited to kind of get that. We're gonna get down here and record, so I'm pretty fucking excited about that. So we're just kind of like writing whatever sounds cool to us. We're not like trying to put any kind of like style on it. It just is what it is, you know.
I mean, yeah, I was like working with a girl. I sent you a little like demo of.
Yeah.
She started out as a pop country singer, then she went to a rock singer, then she went to a EDM, then she went to country, then she went to rock. And I don't know what the fuck it is now. It's confusing is what it is, and I just, but they're only playing the same damn chords over and over again. I don't know what else you want me to play. I'm stuck in that.
Tell her you want her to cover Highway Star.
Yeah. At this point, I just wanted somebody to have an identity.
Yeah, it's
that would help.
we're trying to write as a band too. I'm trying to resist the temptation to kind of like show up with everything done. I don't want it to be like, now you play this and you play this.
Oh, you want to be a team?
I want it to actually be a band. Because
that's the thing. I mean, you get a lot of the people that like. There's a major like when we have like a full lineup, which is recently there's been a full lineup, but the age gap is massive, and it's like I'm not saying to say like that I'm better or worse than these kids, but I mean there's kids in the band and they know like how to play a certain way, and they only know so much, so you're almost like thinking, okay, they're young, but they write. She writes good songs, but at the same time you have to almost like sort of wait. But I don't know. I ain't that young, so I don't know how much longer I can wait to where it's like you got to play something that doesn't sound like everything else.
I know it's been interesting because Jared and Drew are a lot younger than me. Drew just turned 30, and so I'm trying to allow myself to just kind of like go with it because I feel like I am too stuck in my music. Like I'm too stuck in the Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath thing. Like those are always my go-tos. So
that's what you grew up with. It's hard to like start to.
But that's why I like
those memories away. I mean, everything I play, like I start to like I bought a pad with like sequence sounds on it because I wanted to sound more modern. I'm not used to playing electronics. Now I'm like embracing it, and it's something that I'm getting into more because it's like all of a sudden you went from like trying to sound like, I don't know, from Carrie Underwood to Billie Eilish. I mean, so it's it's a very, I don't know what you're doing. What's next week? What is it? 9 Inch Nails. I don't know what's going on. So it's
Well, if the
pads there.
I understand. I know it just sounds like she's jumping around a lot. But I like I said, I'm just trying to find like our drummer. He's he's from metal. That's his like genre, like metal, like tons of double kick and stuff like that. And so it's interesting to try to get him to play like more straight ahead rock. But he's interested in a lot of different kinds of music. So, but I want him to, he's got a lot of chops. So I want him to put some of that in there. Like, I don't want to be like, no double bass. Like, I want to be like, well, if you could put it somewhere where it's going to fit and it's going to sound cool, like, we'll pepper what we're doing with some of that, So I'm just trying to allow myself to kind of like be with what they're doing. And Jared, again, he's younger too, and he's got a lot of different. But Jared is a younger guy, but he likes a lot of older music. Like he knows, he's well versed in like classic rock. I mean, and in classic metal. And he's a big Iron Maiden fan, and
everything has its place. I mean, you could go through the entire Dave Matthews catalog and there would be double bass in there at times, believe it or not.
Yeah.
He did use a double pedal. He used it tastefully, but he put it in there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not blast beating, but it's like there's parts of the song where he would play and use it tastefully. That's one person I've heard. Once you have that knowledge of when to use it and when not to, if you're just going to play it the entire song, that's kind of it's pointless. It loses its effect.
That's it.
You know?
That's it. It's a cool dynamic, to bring in to kind of like pepper the thing with. It's like hot sauce. You know what I mean? You put a little hot sauce in and spice it up.
I'm in the home of hot sauce. You know what I mean? But it's you gotta you gotta know when to use it and when to not. Because if you use it too much, it's gonna just burn your butt.
in the long run.
That's what I think.
In the end.
Oh my! I see what you did there. So, what do you think about Rat being on the charts again?
That's kind of surprising.
Is that because of that damn? It's probably because of that damn commercial.
It is
the Geico.
Yeah. It's like they're like they round and round went to number 20 like last week.
Rat, but it looks like Stephen Piercy and some other dudes.
Well, the bass player, it's the same bass player. It's the same bass player.
And Stephen.
Really?
And Steve Piercy, yeah. But the other guys are different. The drummer and the guitar player are different.
Yeah, I don't recognize anybody in that band but Stephen Piercy.
Yeah, Warren DeMartini has been he quits and then he comes back and he quits and he comes back.
He's not doing
he'll probably come back now they're on the charts.
Yeah, they might. He might.
He'll be like, wait a minute.
I think that's cool, man. I definitely think it's almost like that when Queen, when they were in Bohemian Rhapsody was in Wayne's World. I mean, that song was written way before that, and it came back and it hit the charts again because the song just gets pounded in your head so much. It's like, oh, what's this song? That's cool. I think that's cool for them because it's like maybe bands will start to rock and roll will start to get its shit together again. I mean, it's around, but it's like it's in small pockets.
Well, yeah. I mean, everything is kind of like that. I mean, it's like because everything is so. I mean,
the radio's so saturated.
Yeah. The corporate sound is just. I mean, I think people know that's People would just go look up on YouTube or Spotify whatever they want to hear now. It's not like, you know what I mean? Like when we were young, Keith. Sorry, Lily.
No, don't even start because I know what you're going to say.
It was special, like when a band would release an album and you couldn't wait to hear it.
I'm 40, just saying.
And then you were like, why doesn't DVE play, this song? And I'm dying to hear it. So you had to go out and you had to get the album because you love that artist. And that was that whole thing is gone because everybody releases it online right away and everybody can hear it immediately. It's lost that.
No, it has lost it, but I was in that grouping because the guy at National Record Mart hated me because I was in there every week. He'd say my real name. He'd be like, girl, it's not in yet. Calm down.
The new Britney Spears hasn't come out yet. I'm teasing you.
I'd be there for the new Aerosmith at the time. Twice. I bothered him for Get a Grip and I bothered him for Just Push Play.
Here's an announcement. I read this today when I was trying to research this album. Megadeth's going in the studio to make an album.
Yeah,
that's for all you metalheads out there.
Yeah, Dave Mustaine said he's all like better from the throat cancer or whatever he had, and
that's good, man. I mean, because I don't know, for a while you hear the word cancer, next thing you know, you just think it's a virus.
Hey,
straw.
The Crown and Anchor English pub's opening this weekend. I just got a notification on Facebook.
A lot of people, Saturday is phase 2 coming up, where you're going to actually see bars that do not serve food opening now. Maybe I'll get some gigs now.
I followed every bar we went to when we were in New Orleans, so I get all their updates.
That is probably like, out of the places that are around my house, that is
I liked that place.
It's a little clicky and dark if you go in there a couple times. It's a little clicky and it's a little too clicky, a little too dark. I like to be able to see her in front of me because I never know what the hell is going on. I don't like to be in the dark too. So.
What was that place? I have to think of it. We saw a band there like really briefly and the bathrooms were weird. Old Point Bay? Is that what it?
That's not a bad place.
I like that. I love that place.
Yeah, that has some sometimes some sewage issues. It smells bad in there.
I could tell by the bathroom, and I got hit on super bad by one like really weird man while we were there. But that's all.
Yeah, there's definitely some characters in there, but it's not a bad place. I mean, I've seen I've never actually played there, but I've seen a friend of mine's band play there, and it's one of them. Unfortunately, it's one of them things where you gotta not pay to play, but you get like 20% of the bar. And
right.
There's no cover, and it's. And like you're playing
the thing I loved about New Orleans was the fact that you could get a beer in one bar or a drink or whatever, and just carried it to nobody was like bothered. You just walk around.
No, you just can't
it was
take
very
glass
chill.
outside. But every bar you're in, they'll take it. They'll put it in a cup for you, and you're on your way. But phase 2 is starting Saturday. Phase 2 is places that like the place I was playing on Fridays. no food served, and so that'll open back up now. Hopefully next Friday I'll be playing somewhere.
I went to Roy's by the Tracks on Friday.
Oh, so that's open?
That's open. You have to wear your mask when you walk in, but when you sit, you can take it off. But you have to be sitting while it's off. Because Roy's wife apparently went insane when Josh was not wearing his mask, or not sitting. He was standing next to me at the bar, but he was not sitting. So apparently you can get
That's
corona
important.
standing, but not sitting.
Yeah, you can only get corona when you're standing up.
Bet you didn't know that.
It's just all silliness.
You learn something.
I'm going
new
to tell
every
you
day.
right now, what's going to happen is there's all these rules and everything, and then by the end of the summer, everybody's going to be sitting next to each other. It's going to be over. People are just
And
going
I'm
to
going
be
to be making out at the bar like I used to be doing.
Making out
Just
at the
saying.
bar.
We also went
You
to
were thinking
Hofbräu right down here. They don't care if you have masks or not. They
Yeah.
don't give a shit. They're like, we don't care. Just come in. It's fine. And
Yeah, they're like, we need money. Come in now.
and
Bye.
we were at the sub. The sub is trying to comply with the rules just because they're like really like the liquor board's on their ass. So, but it was still fun to go. But Josh is probably
Did they have a band?
No, Josh. I don't think Josh can do any shows this year because you have to be sitting during the shows, and he plays metal shows.
I thought he said you were already having shows. Oh.
Not him.
She's on
Craft
the
House?
Subalpine was already having
No,
shows.
Craft House is having shows. Jurgles is having shows. You have to be seated the entire time.
What?
Yeah, that's what I said.
That's
That's why
what-
Josh doesn't want to do it because he's like, we have to sit. We can't
Sucks.
stand. We can't mosh. We can't do any of the fun things. So yeah, there it is.
They need to.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is stupid.
That's not going to fly.
That's why he's like, I'm not
It's
even
not-
booking anything till I know we can stand.
It's not going to fly. Sooner or later, somebody's going to be like, I mean, right now, all around the country, everybody's like, we need to fire all the police. So,
I mean, who's
I
going to
mean,
say
like,
what?
who's going to say, who's going to, then nobody's going to be able to arrest you if you're standing in a bar.
Right. It was so bizarre. And they're like, well, you can't dance. Well, that sucks. You can't play the jukebox unless it's from your phone. Well, I do that anyway, so I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, no, I think I'm going to just continue to stay home.
Come to the Hofbräu with me. It'll be
Nah,
fun.
I'm not going to Hofbräu.
Come on.
Fuck the Hofbräu. Fuck that.
No,
place.
they are like loving everybody. They don't care if you wear a mask or not.
We can walk there.
I know.
They open tonight?
They're only open until 10.
Oh.
So they're closed now. They're closed now, but that's fine.
Yeah, we have a neighborhood bar called the Hofbräu.
I
here.
will walk.
You can walk to it. It's on 5th Street or whatever that is.
Highland.
Highland. It's on Highland.
Has that been there for a long time?
Forever.
Yeah, I've been in that bar before I even knew any of you
It's a
guys.
shithole, and I don't even care.
It's a shithole.
I remember going to that bar when I was probably 20s,
Yeah.
in my 20s, when my cousin used to go there because we used to hang out in Kansasburg.
Nice.
No offense, I don't know why. I think we used to get weed there, but we would just go there and
You
meet
know why I
people
like
and-
it? Because it's divey, quiet, you can play music, and they don't care if you wear the masks or not.
This is long before the math, but yeah, I could see that though because yeah, I remember that place being kind of like very loose with its rules. There was a lot of
There's a lot of all
You know what I'm
kinds of
gonna
things
do?
going on there.
I'm going to get a Halloween mask, like a dumb one.
You should.
Like a Spider-Man mask. I'm going to be like, I have a mask on.
They won't care as long as your mouth and nose are covered.
Oh, guys, I got to tell you this.
OMG.
Oh, I saw the greatest mask, the greatest I don't give a fuck mask ever. I was I was standing in line at Get Go in Carnegie on
I know where you're at, yeah.
and there was a guy standing in front, and I'm not thinking, I'm just like, because it took forever, because you can't go up and buy coffee anymore.
No.
You have to order it, and they make it for you, no
Yep.
thing. So I'm standing in line to get the coffee, and this line's out the wazoo, but I hadn't had coffee all day, and I was killing time anyways. And this guy's standing in front of me, and I'm looking at his mask, and I'm going like, what's going on with this guy's mask? And here's what it was.
I'm waiting.
He had a rubber band around his head. Just a plain rubber band, like around here, with a coffee filter wedged in it.
That works. That
I
works.
didn't have my phone to take a picture. Oh my God, I was laughing my ass off. I was like, this guy he's just giving up.
I have an ACDC mask.
he should have like some kind of like he should get some kind of medal or something.
Well, if you go to Brandy's Basement in Irwin on Saturday, you get a prize if you have the most unique mask. I'm not going to that.
Basement
Yeah, it's in Irwin. I'm not going there.
in Irwin. Get a hand, good deal
I am not
from
going to
Mr.
Irwin.
Ham.
I'm not going.
Get a hand, good job. Yeah,
I got kicked out of a bar. I got kicked out of almost kicked out of a bar one time for my snare drum being too loud.
What bar?
Rodney's or some shit like that.
God. Seriously, at Rodney's?
It was the owner, I guess, Rodney. So Rodney Company was like, "Your drum's too loud." I was like, "I'll chill it out." So I detuned it a little bit, and he bitched after the first set, said my drum was still too loud. So I put a towel over it for the second set. Still too loud. By the third set, I took the towel off and just fucking bashed it in mercilessly. So he shut the fuck up, and he was like, "Oh, you can't bring that drum back no more." And I'm pissed off, and I'm like, "Rodney, take it easy."
Did you tell him it was a drum? Like, does he know?
Yeah, that happened again at someplace in Greenburg years ago.
Huh. That's interesting.
So
I wonder
now
if they know how
like,
that works.
I have some different drums. It's called the indoor drum or the outdoor drum. Some drums aren't made to be played indoors. They're just like, they're too much. They're too loud, we'll say.
Like a piccolo snare.
Nah, I don't use those things. They are loud, though. That's all you get from them is loud. I like loud, but with a little shell to them. I like deeper drums.
You need,
crank them up.
do you ever consider just because you have to play so many places where you have to keep it so quiet? Have you ever considered, like, just using an electronic kit? I know that's... Like,
Stop yourself.
I just I've never really owned one. I've played one in churches. I mean, to be honest with you, I've learned how to play softer over the years by playing in churches, acoustic kits, because it's just the church I play here. Yeah, I can bash as loud as I want because it's a big church. It's a huge room. It's like high ceilings and it's loud, but that's what they like. I was told several times, "Oh, play louder," which has never happened. I'm always like, "Shit, okay."
Yeah, you keep that gig.
But when I played the first church I played in for years out in McDonald, Pennsylvania, they were like giving me the death book, like you're playing too loud. So I would switch to brushes or rods, whatever it took. But over the years, I started using lighter sticks and I started playing just more with my fingers and not hitting so hard. So it did help me. It's tough love because either you are going to adapt to the dynamics of the gig or you're going to get fucking fired, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that there is I think we've done something bad with live music by trying to make it too soft. Live music is not meant to be like you can talk over it. You're not. I mean,
why would you want that?
Yeah, I mean, but that is what bars, a lot of these places want. They want people to be able to talk, and you're not supposed to. You're supposed to be listening to the music. You're not supposed to be talking. That's. In my opinion, is if I could talk over it, it's not loud enough. I don't go there to talk. If I want to go chat with my friends, I go to someplace like D's or Jack's or someplace like that, and we listen to Jukebox.
Yeah,
but even when I see bands like Steely Dan, I've seen Steely Dan in like Divine Theater or like places. And then I've seen them a year later at like at Star Lake, and they're loud, but it's not like loud. You know what I mean? You can still have a conversation, but it's still clear. It's such clarity in it. But nobody wants to go to I mean, I don't. When I go see a concert, I want to be able to like basically not have my ears bleed, but I want to be having a good time.
I want to be immersed in the sound. Like I want the low end to be hitting me in the chest.
And road.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be cutting my head off, but I want it to like I want to feel it. Like I went to see that Zeppelin tribute last whenever that was in the fall, and they were great, but it was not loud enough. I mean, Jody and I could sit and talk like Lily and I are talking, and this was a concert. It was at the Palace in Greensburg. Like I was like,
Palace.
They sounded good, but it didn't have that. I don't want to be able to talk over it. I want my ears to bleed. I don't want to be like, oh my God. But
if you're seeing a Zeppelin tribute band, you're probably
you want it to be loud. And I think
a 26-inch bass drum, it should be hitting you in the face.
Well, what I think here's what happens. I think with a lot of like a Zeppelin tribute band, there's more White Claw.
I just gotta pee.
Like a Zeppelin, I think they're probably thinking, well, most of the people here are older, and we don't want to make it too loud. And there were a lot of old fuckers there. But, I mean, I went down front at one point. I just said, fuck these tickets, and I went down front and hung out while they played Stairway to Heaven. That was a little better. But I want to feel it. That's why I could just rent the DVD. Rent. or watch it on YouTube or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can. If I can go get dig up and blow the dust off my Song Remains the Same DVD, I guess. Yeah, there's a Zeppelin tribute band here in New Orleans called Mothership. I've never seen them. I heard they were good, but I've never seen them.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
tribute bands everywhere, man.
I like tribute bands. I want to do a tribute band if I could get. I
tried to start that Aerosmith one, and that kid just fell off the wagon. I guess he has a little bit of a soft problem.
Disappeared. There's two that I could do. If I could, I just can't get anybody who wants to play. Everybody up here is very afraid.
You got to do stuff that's like going to draw people too. Like nobody wants to like. To me, I'm sorry, but I mean, I like bands like I don't know, fucking Primus, but I wouldn't want to start a Primus tribute band. You know what I mean? You need something that's going to like get you shows.
Well, I mean, the two that I had in mind that I know that I could do vocally were Meatloaf. Want to do a Meatloaf tribute band, and I wanted to do a Judas Priest. I think it would be very, very cool. Now, the thing with tribute band, you usually can't play the same area every night, like every weekend. Like, you know what I mean?
No,
like
you burn yourself out.
You gotta be willing to, like, so you do, like, we do Pittsburgh one night, Greensburg next weekend, Erie, Morgantown, Wheeling, you know what I mean? Cleveland,
anything like that, you have to do it. Like
that's how you got to do it. Yeah.
You burn yourself out. You burn bridges.
And it was like, and I was, and I was involved in a Pink Floyd tribute act for a while, and then that took a crap. That was about 2 years ago. But just the problem is, and maybe you've run into this, Keith, like everybody wants to be in music, but nobody wants to work.
Oh, that's a thing.
Nobody wants, musicians are the flakiest.
Lazy ass people, man.
They're the flakiest fucking people ever. I'm sorry. I know a lot of musicians, follow me and stuff, but so many of those guys out there are just fucking flakes.
No, they're lazy. I mean, regardless of Pittsburgh, New Orleans, don't matter. That's a big distance, man.
They all want the show, but they don't want to work for the show.
They want to be famous without having to do anything.
There's people here that if you say that P word practice, man, people are like, what? We don't do all that. And these are good players. I understand they probably could show up at the gig, and it could be passable. But you wonder why the band never progresses, never learns more songs, or it gets something keeps it fresh, and they got to play the same 25 blues tunes every freaking weekend because they just don't want to practice.
I was playing with not the tribute band I was with, but another band about a year ago, and I really like these guys. These guys are friends of mine. They're still friends of mine. And they fired me because I feel I wanted to perfect the band. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to hurry up and put 2 hours worth of music together and half-ass it. I wanted to get up there and be like, I wanted to blow everybody away. I wanted to be like an awesome band. I wanted to do a show. We had a cool name. I had ideas for props and stuff, so we could really give people like a great experience. And they just want to play. They just want to go out and start playing. Have 3 rehearsals.
Well, there's a lot more people like that. And you think it's
and I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to rehearse it. I want it to be tight.
You want it to be good. You want people to talk about it.
We were doing Van Halen and stuff. I'm like, you got to kick in some harmony, some background vocals. You know what I mean? A couple places. Let's work this out. And they were like, they're like, we don't like to work the same way you do. So we're just gonna go play with this other guy. I'm like, okay,
And I'm sure it'll go really far. So
I mean, I don't judge. These guys are buddies of mine. They're nice guys, and I respect them. And everything. It's just what they. It's how they wanted to.
You could be, fucking. I don't know. Insert the nicest guy right here, but it's like. If you have a shitty work ethic, man, it's going to reflect in your band.
Yeah, they have. And
if not, it's going to backfire later.
I don't want to say their names because they have another band that actually has a very good reputation. But when I go hear that other band, they sound pretty well rehearsed. I'm like, and I know they rehearse all the time. So I was not sure, maybe they just didn't like working with me. Maybe I'm an asshole. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I'm just a dick. You know what I mean?
I mean, hey, I don't want to say nothing, but I mean...
I got fired from 2 bands within a year.
Well, you're nice to me.
Actually, the reason I moved out of Pittsburgh is I couldn't stand you anymore.
And I moved next door.
But you are coming.
No,
back.
I don't get it, man.
You are coming to the end of August, though, right?
Yeah, the date's got changed, but I'll be back in August.
Make sure, dude, because we gotta go fucking hang. I mean,
you better not invite me because I will be so irritated.
Listen. Like I'm already because I want to know because like the Friday, it's gonna be over a weekend, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to just be me and you. I mean, I would definitely want Lily.
Because what I'm saying is like I'm going to make sure that like the guys like in my business and stuff know they're gonna function without me like on that Monday. Like I'm not, you know what I mean, like. Because the Hawk is coming, and it's going to be
the Power Trio.
I think we should get should definitely get together and have a crazy old time. I mean, it's definitely going to be. I definitely want to have some fun and just it's a once a year deal, man. It's like here comes Santa Claus. There he goes again. So.
What are the dates?
It's August something. August 20.
I've texted him to Lou. It's like August. Fucking 20 or something. What is it, Samantha?
Fuck me running. It's probably my sister's wedding weekend.
What's the dates on that Pittsburgh gig, Marine trip? 21st to the 24th or something like that.
Okay, that's my sister's wedding weekend. However, I will be available one of those days.
There you go. See?
Whatever that Friday to Monday.
Friday to Monday. So whatever the Friday is to the Monday.
21st to the 24th, yeah.
Yeah, weddings, that's...
Our wedding's only lasting till 10 p.m. I can come find you guys.
There you go. We have
I know
the
you
whole...
sent it to me. I'm looking at your text right now, but I'm not...
I have a driver, so it's fine.
So 21st to the 24th.
Yeah. I'll be around, so...
I will find you.
We'll hook up some shit and see what we're going to do and, just have a good old time.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm just like I'm fantasizing about about going down to B&B.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, man.
You guys having flashbacks?
Yeah, the night before Thanksgiving.
That place gets that place. It's a little price. That's a little pricey there, man. That's some good shit.
I got money. Don't worry. I got money.
At this point, I do too. Yeah, at this point, yeah.
I got some money.
We're not going to the yard.
We're not going to the yard. That's what I was told. We're not going to the yard because last time we went to the yard on New Year's Eve was a fucking $375 bar.
Well, that's how much. That was about $300 at B&B too.
Probably.
Wait,
Yeah.
We
kept getting those flights. Remember? You're like, no, you got to try each one of these bourbons. I'm like, sure, man.
Go out and maybe have just like a Pepsi.
What the hell?
And then you woke up.
You're not going to ever get me to go out and have a Pepsi anymore.
Keith, let's go out for a Pepsi.
And we can bring it back here and porch drink.
Well, we can always drink here, brother, because I got a liquor cabinet, dude. I got it all, dude.
I enjoy porch drinking.
We do porch drinking sometimes here.
That's okay. I like porch drinking. It's good.
All right, brother. Well, man, I'm going to get the hell out of here, man. You have a good night. It was great hanging with you.
All right, y'all.
You going to be on next week? You be around next week?
Yeah. You got a topic for me?
Well, I don't know yet.
Why don't we do the voices one? There's the singers.
Oh, yeah. You want to do the thing about the bands with, like the greatest, harmony bands?
Greatest harmonies?
Yeah.
We can.
Like rock band. Oh, here's what it was. Bands that have great harmonies but are still like rock. No Crosby, Stills, Nash, no Fleetwood Mac, none of that shit. Like you know what I mean? Like they can really rock but have great harmonies. We're probably going to talk about damn Yankees again.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We're on a kick.
But
I was trying to think of one the other day that was like the siblings, throw together a band of the best siblings of legendary rock players. Of course, you'd have Jason Bonham on drums, and I can't think of anybody else.
Well, you could think of the Van Halen brothers.
Maybe, but yeah, you'd have to take like
Styx, the drummer and the bass player were brothers.
Yeah, or another one could be like the offspring of legendary players. Like I said, I think that's pretty much my original idea. Like Jason Bonham, you could have Jason Bonham, who would be obviously John's son. Then you would have the kids from other but I can't think of enough of them right now.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm thinking about the thing with the great harmonies. If it still rocks, let's kind of give it a day or two, and we'll reconvene in a in our group chat on Facebook, and we'll figure it out, okay?
All right, guys.
All right, guys. Hey, have a good one, Keith. Hey, Samantha,
See
take
ya.
care, sweetheart.
Bye, Samantha.
Bye, guys.
All right,
care.
See you guys.
Let me kill this here.